Hello everyone, this is the first video of me reading the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. In this video series, we're going to be reading this book, analyzing, seeing the words that we don't know, and getting answers from AI. My goal is making myself expand expand my vocabulary, and I really want to have a habit of reading books, especially books that in English. And while I'm expanding my vocabulary, I will also be having a habit of reading books. And for books choice, I want to read the classic ones. And the first chapter is A Scandal in Bohemia. Let's start. To A Scandal in Bohemia. To Sherlock Holmes, she's always the woman. I have seldom heard him mention her under any other name. All right, like this seldom means something like only or no, rarely. All right, let's edit. Save to vocabulary. In his eyes, she eclipses and predominates the whole of her sex. Sex means gender, I guess. In his eyes, she eclipses. So eclipse means like has something to do with moon and making earth like shadow place. I know it's surpasses or surpasses others. That's interesting. In this context, eclipse mean to surpass, like yes, or excel someone or something, often in a way that makes them seem less impressive. In his eyes, she eclipses and predominates the whole of her sex. Or whole of her, like whole of other people, all of the people who have the same gender, right? I guess yes. Female group. Yes, female group of her sex, of whole of her gender. It was not that he felt any emotion akin to love for Irene Adler. It was not that he felt any emotion. All right. Akin. What is its meaning? Similar to. The word akin is used to describe a similarity or resemblance between two things. In this context, it implies that the emotion felt by the character is similar in nature or kind to love, but not exactly love. It was not that he felt any emotion akin. I guess akin, like let's look at its pronunciation. Let's hear its pronunciation.
Akin.
Akin, and I think akin is used with the two, with two. Like it was not that he felt any emotion akin to love. All right, this is the akin to love for Irene Adler. Similar to love. Yes, this is a phrase. The phrase akin to love is an idiomatic expression that means similar or comparable to love. All right. Uh, hmm. All right. Let's continue. Irene Adler. All emotions, and that one particularly, were apparent to his cold, precise, but admirably balanced mind. I don't know. This word utterly disgusting. All emotions, that one particularly, like that one particularly is love, were apparent to his cold, apparent, discussing to his cold. But what does to his cold mean? Like again, an idiomatic expression means that contrary or unpleasant to someone's temperament or disposition. Here, cold likely refers to a person who is unemotional. Like we say, cold person, uh, objective or unsympathetic. The phrase suggests that emotions in general, and possibly the specific emotion being referred to, like love, are distasteful. All right. So the main character is someone who doesn't enjoy being in love or doesn't have any goal towards being in love, I guess. We're discussing to his cold, precise, but admirably balanced to like let's check the meaning, or let's make it simpler. I want to make sure I get this part right. Apparent disgusting, cold, unemotional, precise, exactly, admirably well balanced. So uh, were offensive to his unemotional and analytic mind. Hmm. Is like it is opposed to his um, attribute, his feelings, to be in love with someone because it disturbs his mind, his balanced minds. Yes, actually, this is correct for most of people, right? If you are in love, you may not find dedicated time, dedicated mind for your works, for your studies. I get, I get it. He was, I take it, the most perfect reasoning and observing machine that the world has seen. But as a lover, he would have placed himself in a false position. All right. He never spoke of the softer passions, save with a gibe and sin. What is gibe? What is sin? They were admirable things for the observer, excellent for excellent for drawing the veil from man's motives and actions. I didn't get it at all. Let's oh we actually look at it again. Mocking remark. The let's hear it.
Jibe.
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 Jibe. A jibe is a sarcastic or mocking comment, often used to express contempt or scorn. It's a form of verbal ridicule or taunt, typically used to belittle or criticize someone or something. In the given context, the person's comments about softer passions are laced with mockery and disdain. He never spoke of gentler, strong loves except with a joke. Jibe. Say with jibe and sneer. Smile. Alright. It's something with mm, making a joke, right? He never spoke of the softer passions, say with a jibe. Say with a jibe. I think we can look at the meaning of this part, this phrase. Say with a jibe, and uh, like we didn't look at the pronunciation of this one, but let's look at the this phrase. The phrase "say with a jibe and sneer" indicates that Holmes only mentions softer passions like love in a mocking or scornful manner. This reveals his attitude towards emotions and relationships. Yes, foreshadowing his interactions with Irene Adler. It highlights the contrast between his rational nature. Yes, exactly. It highlights the contrast between his rational nature and the emotional world. Character insight. The phrase "say with a jibe" and shows that Holmes views emotions, particularly love, with disdain or mockery. This suggests that he prioritized reason over emotions. Yes. All right. Um, Save with a jibe. I think we can save it to our vocabulary. Let's toggle it off and let's see its this word's pronunciation.
Sneer.
Sneer, sneer, contemptuous smile.
Sneer.
Sneer. A sneer is a facial expression that shows contempt or disdain, typically characterized by a slight, often curved smile and a raised corner of mouth. He never spoke of a gentler, strong laws, except with a mock and a scowl. Alright. Sneer. They were admirable things for the observer, Excellent for drawing the veil from man's motives and actions. Veil. Hiding through. Veil.
veil,
Veil. Veil. Like, I'm saying it like the one that is animal. Veil, but there must be some small distinction between veil and
veil,
veil. Veil. Veil.
veil,
Veil. The other one must be veil, but I don't hear the difference. So maybe I can save it to vocabulary and check it out later. Let's continue. All right. But for the trained reasoner to admit such intrusions into his own delicate and finely adjusted temperament was to introduce a distracting factor which might throw a dab upon all his mental results. Um, let's read it again. But for the trained reasoner, all right, to admit such intrusions, like this must be something like the thing you say to your close friends, or um, like there are some stuff that you don't want to explain publicly. Maybe you explain those stuff to your friends. You don't feel comfortable explaining or sharing these, or intro, like int means something going, something inside, going inside, intrusions into his own delicate and finely adjusted temperament. I think we can check these words meaning. Was to introduce a distracting factor. Introduce a distracting factor must be like a collocation or something like that. Introduce a distracting factor, which might throw a dub. Throw a dub again must be a collocation like or phrase because I don't know it. Throw a dub upon all his mental results. Actually, we may get this one. All right. Intrusions. Intrusions. Let's hear it first.
intrusions,
Intru-
intrusions,
intrusions. Unwanted influence. Oh, so I was wrong. In this context, intrusions refers to unwanted thoughts, feelings, or external factors that interfere with someone's mental state or thought process. Something disturbs one's mind. These intrusions can disrupt a person's concentration, emotions, or rational thinking, potentially affecting their judgment or decision making. Unwanted influencers, like this is a good word. Let me save it to vocabulary. But for the trained reasoner to admit such intrusions, admit into. Again, we see a phrasal verb, right? Admit something into. Admit such intrusions into his own delicate and finely adjusted temperament. Temperament, some like not feature, not attribute, but trait. Some like similar resembles to trait, right? Temperament. Mental disposition. Mental disposition. Let's see it.
temperament,
Temperament. In this context, temperament refers to a person's inherent personality. Yes, personality or mental characteristics, like a trait, including their emotional and intellectual tendencies. It encompasses their natural attitude, comma, mood, comma, and sensitivity. All right. A person's temperament can affect how they perceive and interact with the world around them. All right. This is a good word. Save the vocabulary. Um, temperament and finally adjusted temperament was to introduce a distracting factor. Uh, introduce it. Why we choose this phrase was to introduce a distracting factor. A distraction factor which might throw a dab upon all this mental cause uncertainty. Oh, wow. Like I know this word. most of the time from games, but making something appear. I know its meaning like this. Cast uncertainty. The phrase throw a dab upon is an idiomatic expression that means to cast doubt, or uncertainty on something, in this case. All his mental results. It implies that the introduction of a distraction factor might make one, like a person, question and suspect the validity or accuracy of one's mental conclusions or results. Um, that is good. Actually, let's save this phrase to vocabulary. Um, so factor which might throw a dab upon. All right. Casting uncertainty. All right. Grit in a sensitive instrument. Grit in a sensitive instrument, or a crack in one of his own high power lenses would not be more disturbing than a strong emotion in a nature such as his. Hmm, this sentence. Grit in a sensitive instrument. What does grit mean in a sensitive? Small imperfection. Wow. Grit refers to a small, usually unwanted particle or speck of material, often causing imperfection or disappearance. Grit in a sensitive instrument. Grit in a sensitive instrument. What does it mean? Tiny flaw. The phrase grit in a sensitive instrument is a metaphorical expression that refers to a small imperfection or flaw that can cause significant problems or disturbance. Grit in a sensitive instrument. Sensitive instrument is something like a crucial instrument that requires attention. But for it to have a grit, shows us a situation where we have a flow, where we have a flow, or not intrusions, but temperament, distraction. All right, let's call it flow. We have seen another word similar to flow, but the expression means all the results. Anyway, let's continue. Instrument, or a crack in one of his own high power lenses. All right, like these two things shows a similar context, similar meaning, explaining that there's something unwanted uh, in us, like in the Holmes. A crack in one of his own high power lenses. I don't know high power lenses, or what does it uh, have to do with the Holmes, with Holmes. Um, let me check the meaning. The phrase hyperbole highlights Holmes' exceptional attention to detail. All right. I thought that this one like a real thing, like a real lens, but uh, I think it's like a phrase. All right. Let's continue. Or a crack in one of his own high power lenses would not be more disturbing than a strong emotion. Oh, now I get it. It explains that even these all obstacles or bad things, bad stuff, doesn't disturb him more than having a emotion to someone. All right, so like feeling these kind of emotions is more not effective actually, but influential. Like this having an emotion has bigger influence in his life than having these imperfections in his important uh, important what important instrument. but I get it, but I can't explain it right now. Like having emotion is worse than having an obstacle in his life. Like in terms of what? In terms of when he let's imagine him doing an important job and suddenly um, what an obstacle emerged and then he can handle it, all right, even though this situation is not good or comfortable for him, it's okay. But having an emotion is way far way bad, all right. So and yet there was but one woman to him, and that woman was the late iron adder. What does late mean here actually? Late iron adder or dubious and questionable memory. What does late mean here? Deceased. Late refers to someone who has passed away or died. How come? Is she alive or dead? It's often used as a polite or formal way of refer to someone who is no longer alive, especially when speaking about them in a respectful or nostalgic manner. I don't get it. Is she a real person? And yet there was but one woman to him, and that woman was the late Iron Adler, or dubious and questionable memory. Oh, so we are talking about Holmes' memories. Reputation. In this context, memory refers to a person's reputation or the way they are remembered by others. It can also imply the record of person's life or actions. A person's memory can be good or bad, depending on how they regarded by others, recollection. And yet there was but one woman to him, and that woman was the late Ironhead or the recollection. I'm not sure if it is correct. Anyway, dubious, suspicious reputation. The word dubious refers to something or someone that is suspicious, uncertain, or questionable. In this context, it describes Iron, Iron Adler's memory as being unreliable or suspect. That's interesting. Let's continue. I didn't get it. I had seen little of Holmes lately. That's the phrase again. Like being, being to see to see little of someone. Like see a little of, not often. Save the vocabulary. My marriage had drifted us away from each other, my own complete happiness, and the home centered interests which rise up around the man who first finds himself master of his own establishment. I'm not getting it. Were sufficient to absorb all of my attention. Let's start it again. My marriage, like the Holmes' friend is talking right now, my marriage had drifted us. Who is us here? Like Holmes and the uh, this guy, this guy, or this guy's wife. Us is an object pronoun referring to couple. All right, referring to couple, then his wife, him and his wife. My marriage had drifted us away from each other. What does each other mean here? The the Holmes and this guy, or this guy and his wife. Reciprocal pronoun phrase that refers to a mutual relationship between two people. In this case, the couple in the marriage. Oh, again, we are talking about the couple away from. All right, all right, all right. Like we became distant to each other. All right. My own complete happiness. All right. And the home-centered in interests which rise up around the man. My own complete happiness. All right, this is something. And the home-centered interests which rise up around the man who first finds himself master of his own establishment. Like this is the first thing, and the second thing goes to here, were until here, were sufficient to absorb all of my all right. Like the guy talking here suffers from having a, let's call it, bad marriage, and then the fact that Holmes gets his attention highly, right? Interest, which rise up around the man who first finds himself master of his own establishment, were sufficient to absorb all of my attention, or all my attention. While Holmes, he continues, while Holmes, who loathed, like swore, right? Loathed, no, hated intensely. Loathed,
loathed,
loathed. What is this? Let's say with the vocabulary. The word loathe means to feel strong sense of dislike. While Holmes, who loathed every form of society with his whole Bohemian soul, all right, remained in our lodging in Baker Street. Lodge,
lodgings,
lodgings, rented accommodations. The word lodgings refers to a place. Oh, that's a place where someone lives, especially a room or apartment that is rented, all right, in our lodgings in Baker Street, like a home or flat, buried among his old books and alternating from week to week between, oh, an ambition. That's a strange word. An ambition and the drowsiness of the drug and the fierce energy of his own keen nature. Let's look at this one. Sharp and interest. No, sharp and intense. And no, drowsiness. That's another word that I don't know. Drowsiness refers to a state of feeling sleepy or drowsy, characterized by a desire to sleep. All right, so let's save it. And in the next video, we'll be reading from this page, hopefully. Uh, he was settled. Thank you for listening. It's been almost 30 minutes, and in this series, we're gonna read books like Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, and my main goal is the learning, expanding my vocabulary, and focusing on my pronunciation as well. Since I'm reading it aloud, it really helps me, and maybe you can see, you can find some, let's say, good words from this book that you'll enjoy or you'll use in your um, let's say, speak. um, what else? I think that's all. See you in the next video. Take care.